Shalom, everybody. What kind of German would you have been in the 1930s and 40s? On October 7, 2023, masks were pulled off the faces of all anti Semites. Whatever cloak they wore to hide their true colors, such as social justice, multiculturalism, tolerance, or whatever else, have been removed, completely removed. Hey, by the way, before we get further, would you take a moment to subscribe and give us the thumbs up and tell your friends about our channel? That really helps. Thanks. So, for the last 25 years that I have spent studying and teaching on the topic of anti Semitism ebbed and flowed, but rarely peaked at the level it is at now. It has not just peaked, but keeps rising to levels not seen since the 1930s and 1940s in Europe. People of goodwill, and Christians in particular, are at a crossroad. We cannot remain silent in the face of evil. If you believe in God, you have to believe in evil as well. And Satan, the enemy of God, is also the arch enemy of Israel and the Jewish people. And he knows that he is currently running on fumes. As believers, we are in the midst of the greatest spiritual battle we've ever seen and we've ever known. The forces of darkness are at work and will not cease until they fulfill their destructive agenda. They would if they could, but we know they can't. Look at Jeremiah 31, 35 through 37, and the promises of God regarding Israel and the Jewish people. Yet we cannot remain idle in the face of so much evil. My goal has always been the same: educate Christians, expose the lies, promote the truth, and love Israel and the Jewish people with the love of Yeshua, the Messiah, as I tell them about him. This has never changed. Throughout that process, and for over 2 decades, not 25 years almost, I've always had hope that we could oppose and defeat anti-Semitism. I never thought it would be easy, but I truly believed we could. This was the driving force behind my resilience, or so I thought. Truly, my driving force is the Lord, his covenants, promises, loving kindness, and character. Today, he continues to be my strength, even though I must confess that I do not believe we can stop anti Semitism anymore, at least not on this side of the second coming of Yeshua. So, what are we to do? Just give up? Well, frankly, I'm not sure that those who rescued, sheltered, and fed Jewish people during the Holocaust years took the time to think about the outcome of their deeds. They were acting out of the kindness of their hearts. As decent human beings, they chose to be rescuers, not perpetrators, co perpetrators, or bystanders. They decided to shelter, not expose Jewish people, and they did it without worrying about their own lives in the process. To them, it was simply the most natural thing to do. Decades later, they have become righteous among the nations. They were reactive, and today we can all be proactive. Let me give you some example. Let me ask some questions. When Kristallnacht took place on November 9th, 10th of 1938, and Jewish storefronts were defaced and destroyed, along with the burning to the ground of dozens of synagogues and the killing of at least 200 Jews, what kind of German would you have been? A Goering or a Martin Niemöller? When your neighbors called the local police or even the Gestapo to alert them that Jews were hiding inside the building they lived in, and then watched through their window blinds behind closed doors as the Jewish families, were taken away to a certain death, what kind of German would you have been? A Himmler or a Weitzel Sharp? When the cattle cars passed through the small villages of Europe, carrying Jews packed in horrible conditions on their way to extermination camps, what kind of German would you have been? A Hitler or a Dietrich Bonhoeffer? The kind of German you would have been in the 1930s and the 1940s will most certainly determine the type of person you can be today amid this global volcanic eruption of anti-Semitism. While Jew hatred has been slowly increasing over the last decade or so, on October 7th, 2023, it received the proverbial steroid shot. When people chant from the river to the sea in a public place, and you have a chance to explain what it means, will you? When Jewish people are banned from stores, restaurants, or Airbnb, will you boycott the institutions behind the banning? When Jewish people are physically assaulted in a pogrom on the streets of New York or Los Angeles or anywhere else in the world, will you come to the rescue whichever way you can? When your Jewish friend or neighbor knocks on your door in the middle of the night to ask for help, will you take them inside to rescue and shelter them, no matter the cost and the risk? Friend, if you answered yes to these four questions, you are what I call a new righteous among the nations. And there is a place for you to put your thoughts and words into action before it is too late. There exists a private, secret, and highly secure network of like minded Christians who understand the biblical mandate to bless the Jewish people, according to Genesis 12:3, and they're ready to do something about it. I started that network with a few people about 5 years ago. Think of an underground railroad for Jews, something like that. You won't find it advertised anywhere. It doesn't raise funds, and it is all on a volunteer basis. To start the vetting process, which is necessary, you need to go to our website at shalomandmessiah.com and go to the connect page or button, I should say. And uh, what you do is you check the last box on the connect page that talks about the network that Olivier spoke about, which is what you're hearing about right now. Consider joining the network and put into practice today the principle that will take place during the Great Tribulation, the time of Jacob's trouble, as found in the parable of the goats and the sheep that Yeshua told in Matthew 25:31-46. And I quote, starting at verse 34, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom which has been prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.' Then the righteous will answer him, saying, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger or invite you in, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?' And the king will answer and said to them, 'Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did it to one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it to me.'" Close quote. See, my friend, Yeshua is speaking of the Jewish people, the brothers of mine. He's talking about Jewish people according to the flesh. And that's what's going to happen in the future during the tribulation. The goats will reject the Jews and refuse to help them, while the sheep will go out of their way to help at a time when helping Jews could, could bring them certain death. Yet Yeshua, the king, rewards only the sheep with direct entry into the Messianic kingdom. Now, to be sure, this is not salvation by works, but deeds because of salvation. The principle can and should be applied today. if you care for the Jewish people, now is the time. Right now, look at what's happening around us. Would you have been the kind of German who would have helped Jewish people in the 1930s and the 1940s? And would you be counted among the sheep by the king? Now is the time to decide. Now is the time to take sides. Thank you for watching. As always, we count on your prayers and your support to continue with our ministry. So please consider visiting shalominmessiah.com and connect with us. There's a button that says connect. That's how you can connect with the network, but also donate. We can use your donations. Everything we do at Shalom and Messiah is by donations, and it allows me to volunteer a lot of my time with the network, which doesn't raise any money. So thank you for thinking about doing that. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your partnership with us. And until next time, Shalom and be blessed.